This will be a fairly short video because over here I'll try to just explain that how you can check the test results yourself if you have been running it, like how I have been running it for the last few days. And also because this is something that the community wanted me to do much before this, but I couldn't have done it because I had not explained the entire algorithm, which I haven't done yet also. I mean, there's gonna be a difficult explanation after this, which might be difficult for some and some it might be very easy, but like there's going to be an explanation of HODLR after this also. So but I'm explaining the test results over here because I just stopped it. I mean, I just stopped the bot which was running for all these days, and we'll be able to see that that when I have been running it from, because the first price entry should have been over here in that, and this is a way in which you can actually check the timestamps which have been recorded in the database in Mongo. As you can see, I'm on MongoDB, something called MongoDB Compass. Although you can use RoboMongo or some other client to access your database, I mean your MongoDB installation, and that could even be from a console. So it doesn't really matter. I am using a GUI like this to access it so that it's easier for me on Windows. So because I work on Windows, so all these GUI applications, so you'll get this on Ubuntu also, and you'll probably get it on Mac as well. So when you go to, I've given the instructions of how you can install Mongo and everything else on the GitHub main page of this HODLR algo. But yeah, so like getting back, if we need to check that from when I've been running it, so over here in my time zone, it was November 6th, because I just copy pasted this timestamp. This is the first entry of 13,405. So if you want to know that for how many minutes I've been running this for, then every minute there are 2 entries. So if it is 13,405 divided by 2, then this is the number of minutes that I've been running it for. So that should be, this is the hours, and this should be the number of days. So this is exactly the amount of time that I ran it for this time, and it's 4.65 days. Now getting back, so, and you can check it over here because over here it's written that it's running from November 6th, and this is the same thing. Why I'm explaining it like this is because the same thing will also be recorded in your MongoDB when you're gonna run it. So which is why, and it will have so many entries over here of all the prices from the this is essentially just the price of USTC, which it is fetching every 30 seconds, and I'll tell you why it is doing that in the next video, because in that I'll be breaking down the algorithm even further and explaining that what are the steps in the process. So this is step 1 in the process, in which it fetches the price of USTC and in comparison to USDT, obviously from Binance, and it saves it in the database, which is why we are looking at it right now. So if you want to see that that when was the last entry, then you can do a sort over here by timestamp. This is how we run it. So you do timestamp -1, and you'll be able to see over here that the last timestamp was today actually. So I stopped it at 5 p.m. and 5:10 p.m. and right now it is 9:13 p.m. so like about 4 hours back. So I stopped it 4 hours back, and it had been running for 4.65 days. So this is the results that we'll be analyzing. And before I even get into the results, the one thing that I would want to mention over here for people who are actually running this on their own computers and looking at the results which have been tallied for like 4 or 5 days, then there is one issue in the way that I've coded the test right now, and that is that it creates a lot of duplicate entries in the database. And why it does that is that that probably because of Mongo's stack. Like when I'm stacking up the number of jobs in a queue for Mongo, then Mongo probably does duplicate entries. So I'm not completely sure about this I'll check later. If I'm like inserting into the database with a little bit of time gap between entries, like say a second or 2 seconds, then what is gonna happen? Because I don't want to do that, because like there are a lot of entries which are getting processed at the same time. So which is why I haven't put any time gap over there, but we could put like a few milliseconds of gap so that those duplicate entries are not shown over here. But I'll just show you along with the duplicate entries, because I haven't cleaned it up yet. So there'll be a lot of like duplicate entries. So as you can see over here, I think so even, yeah, this one has some hold on, I'll show you. So this one has some 130,000 documents, I think, and these are the prices. And this database has 170, how much is it, 1.72 million records right now, because there were lots of duplicate records which were created. So let's not get into that right now. So but I'll be able to show you in any case. So but there were 215 test entries which were created. Now how was I creating the test entries, the mock entries in the code, is that I was creating a test entry. An entry is essentially an investment. So you'll be able to see over here that what the investment is, because the quantity is written over here. Quantity essentially volume, and the price is written over here, and the timestamp is written over here. So there was generally so hold on, so I'll just show you over here that okay, so none of the entries right now are at the current inserted state, which is the first state that it is in. It has been swapped already, which is why it is showing up like this. But if any test entry was created right now, then you would have seen that the current price, which is the last price which was fetched from Binance, is the price that it would have entered it over there. So I was taking a test entry every 30 minutes. So if I ran it for 4.5 days, then there were 215 test investments which were created every 30 minutes. Why? Because my assumption is that every 30 minutes the price should be something extremely different. So the investment which will be made over there is at every 30 minutes in the graph that you are looking at in CoinMarketCap or somewhere else. So which is why I wanted to test it like that what happens if there is a test investment which has, or rather an investment which is done every 30 minutes, then how does that reflect in our test results, and what does the algo do with those investments? Because it's a different investment every 30 minutes at a different price point. So some of these investments will be longed, some of these investments will be shorted, and the algo is going to do that automatically. At this point of time, all of them have been swapped at least once. So that is why in the database you can see this status as swapped to USTC. Now also you'll be able to see that there are a lot of collections on the left hand side in the database, but I've just opened up only 3 to look at the results, because the first one that I'm looking at, which is this entries USTC, is the test investments. So there are 215 investments which have been tested rather, and these are the entries which I'm calling entries in the code. So in the code also, when you refer to the code, you'll be able to see that I've referred to it as entries, so not investments, because it's too large a word to keep using it in the code. So entries was a shorter word that I could use, so it's called an entry. So I'm gonna refer to everything as an entry. So it's an entry of an investment essentially in the database. So which is why it's called entries, and these are different investments and what is their current state at this point of time, or rather when I stopped it. So that is what it is showing over here. When it first gets inserted, the status over here will be created instead of swap to USTC. So I don't know whether there is any, but I'll just check it, that whether there is any created status. Yeah, so you'll be able to see that these were the ones which were created, and I haven't sorted it so this is sorted in the descending order or ascending. I'm not completely sure how to call it, but essentially the timestamp keeps increasing every 30 minutes. You'll be able to see over here also. So this is 15:00:19 seconds, and this is 15:30:20 seconds, which is 3 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. So there is a time difference of 30 minutes between the test entries. So same, you'll be able to see that this is at 4 p.m. and this is at 4:30 p.m. So these have just been created. Now how many other? There are 5. You'll be able to see that there are 5 which have been created, which is today and just before I stopped it. So I stopped it at I just showed over there some 5 o'clock. So this is just before that. The last one which you'll be able to see, which you can also sort over here in the opposite direction. So if you sort it like this, timestamp -1, then the first thing that you'll be able to see over here is the last entry. So this is the last entry that we are looking at, which is at 5 p.m. After which there were no more entries created because we stopped it between 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. So the 5:30 p.m. entry was never created. So this is the last entry, and you'll be able to see that it is creating a random volume entry over here so that we can test it. So every investment volume is different over here, and this is how it begins. It begins as a whole number, and you'll be able to see it, after which as transactions happen, you'll be able to see that this does not remain a whole number anymore, because this swaps from say 980 to 964, and I'll be explaining to you why it does that. So, and it does various transactions. You'll be able to see that there are many transactions over here that it is doing. So let's take a random entry. Let's not obviously go through, like, I'm not sure how many documents are over here, but let's not go through that one by one. Let's take any random entry over here, not status, created. So when I'm looking at 215 documents, let's just go to this page, whatever this page number is, I'm not sure. Let's just take this object ID. So you'll be able to see that there is an object ID over here. Just copy this part, not the entire thing, just copy this part, and over here you go over here and you can type order ID and object ID, and inside that you paste this and you hit enter, you find, and you'll be able to see the transactions which have been happening for this test entry. And you do the same over here. You go to this one also, you can do order ID, object ID, paste it, hit enter. Yeah, so you'll be able to see there are 9,139, although there should be very less, like probably less than 100 or maybe 200. I'm not completely sure how many transactions are actually done. So there will be many duplicate ones over there, but that is not an issue because that is not what we are checking. So I'll be explaining to you how we are checking it. So this is the page that we were at. This is the ID, I think, which we took right now. Yeah, and you'll be able to see over here that what was the last, or rather the current, if it is running, then what is the current quantity or volume that it is at, and what is the current price it is at. Okay, so this is extremely important. I'll show you how essentially to calculate the profit or loss it is at right now. So to know that, in this first entries USTC collection, you will have to look at this quantity, which is this right now, So let's take this quantity, take a calculator, in this up, paste it, multiply it with the price which is shown over here, because this is what will give you the actual dollar value of the current state that it is in. So right now in dollars it is at 10.416. So now go to this database, which is called rather collection, which is called Binance Transaction Solve. So over here, you, without sorting it, I have not sorted it, as you can see over here, because this is the first transaction which actually happens for this entry, this one. And so it shows up over here when you just provide the order ID here and hit enter. So the first transaction which is shown over here is the first transaction. And like I explained in the last video, that to start the process of shorting, you will have to make a little bit of loss. Okay, so which is why it begins from 853. So let's go back to the calculator, paste it. At this price, the price is actually written over here. So you gotta take this price into account when you are calculating that at what dollar value it started out from. So let's take this price. Now let's go back to the calculator. So what I pasted over here is the original volume or quantity or supply that we started out from, that the user bought, which is the original investment, and I'm multiplying it by the original price it was at. This is what it was at. So you'll be able to see that this is what it is right now, and this is what it was when the investment began. So it actually made a very slight amount of losses instead of a profit, and the reason for that would be explained in the previous video, that why is it here. So you'll be able to calculate that how much is the exact profit or loss if you just take this minus this and divide by this, multiply by 100. So you are at a 0.6% loss currently. So but what this algo achieves is that over a period of whenever this started out from, so the timestamp is written over here. So this started today, I think. This first this started on the 9th. So this first transaction was done on the 9th, which is 2 days back. So it started approximately 2 days back, and in 2 days it has actually maintained the exact price that it was invested at, which is why this is called the HODLR algorithm, because HODLR essentially translates to hold, and it is holding the price of the investment at what it was invested in. But does it always do that? No, because when I was checking it, I actually shortlisted a couple of transactions that I was checking it over here, and I'll check it along with you. I don't know where it is right now, but I'll try to find it using the ID, which you can do like this. Paste it. Yeah, this was the one. And let's check that what happened, how many transactions, including duplicated, 351. Okay, and let's check. I have not removed any duplicate transactions, which is why it is showing up like this, 2925. So, and as I've opened it up, you'll be able to see that this is a short transaction. So the Binance transactions all essentially shows the swap between USTC to USDT, and the USTC transactions all shows the swaps between USDT to USTC, which is a short. So this shows the long transactions and this shows the short transactions. So which is why when you search over here, it begins with the original value, because this is the first transaction that actually happens. and in the first long transaction that it is doing, which I'll explain what it is. It's not actually a long transaction, but I am calling it a long transaction in the system. I'll explain this in the next video in the explainer of the algo. But you'll be able to see that it first makes a loss. So you initially had 562, now it was 551. But it's not actually doing that because the price has changed by now. So the price at you would have invested at has actually reduced, which is why the algo is doing this, and it is trying to still maintain the same level. It has increased, and that is why it is trying to maintain the same volume even if the price has increased, and it is trying to make you profits it is trying to make you losses and keep you at the same price point even if it is increasing. And you'll understand the logic of why it is doing that, because if you go to the next collection over here, you'll be able to see that the first short transaction it has done is over here, where it is doing a 551 to 566 swap, which means that in the short it has actually made you profits. And you can even calculate that how much that profit is if you take this to a calculator and do this minus, then you divide by the original price, multiply by 100. You are already in the first short transaction that it does, it gives you a 2.72 percentage profit. So this is how it actually works. It does not always do a profitable transaction. Sometimes it takes decisions to do lossy transactions like the one that you are looking at, but it knows that it has to keep the price or the level at that point of time. So it has to maintain it, which is why it will do it. But if I just scroll down over here, and you'll be able to see that it made a transaction over here from 555 to 625. So if you would have encashed at this point of time, say you would have stopped the bot and you want to take out your money, then how much profits would you have been at if you would have taken out the money at this point of time? And you can calculate that easily. Divide by the original amount, multiply by 100, it would have been at 12.48%. And this is something that I'm showing you in front of your eyes, and it has something which it has done in the last 4.65 days. And like I told you that we'll see that what it has done in the pump. So it probably didn't even do that during the pump, and you'll be able to see it over here that what is the timestamp. The timestamp is written over here that it did it on the 10th, and it is showing my time because it is at plus 5:30 GMT, and at around 9 p.m. 9:30 p.m. at night. Right now, if it is 9:30 p.m., then it did this yesterday. So just 24 hours back, which is during the pump. So this is actually showing you what it did during the pump. At this point of time, if you would have stopped the bot and you would have withdrawn your money, then you would have actually been at 12.48% profits. This is how the algo works. It doesn't always make you profits, but it makes you profit when the market is profiting. So this algo doesn't have a mind of its own. It does what the market does. If the market is continuously dumping, then it will make profits also. And if the market is continuously pumping, then also it will make profits. So this is how it works. And then it can dump, and then it can come back to the same price point also. Because the entire point of this algo is to help you not with profits, which you can make anyway in any CEX app or DEX or somewhere else by trading. The entire point is to protect your investments and make profits at the same time. So you can keep this. You can keep this investment for the next 5 years, okay, and then not move it. even if you are at 12.48% profits, okay, and you'll be able to see that 5 years down the line it is maintaining the same price point and might not be in profits, because during that entire 5 years the market would have pumped as well as dumped. So what the algo would have done is that it would have tried to maintain that level so that you don't make losses in your investment. Your investment always remains at the same place. And if you want to withdraw it, like how I'm showing you right now, that at this point of time, if you would have withdrawn it, then you would have been at 12.48% profits, because you just withdrew it. So you stopped the bot and you withdrew your money and you encashed it and you exited. So you would have been at 12.5% losses, and you wouldn't even have to do anything. You just have to tell the bot that if I am at 12.5% or say above 10% profits, then just encash my investment automatically, and the bot would do that. So this is how the bot works and this is what it does. Now we can even get into some other transaction. Let's just take any random transaction again, so that you get an idea. And for this you need to go back, okay? So once you're going back, you're going to the first few transactions. So the first few transactions are the ones which will probably would have done a lot of trading by the time you are looking at it, this collection. So which is why just try to take it from one of these. So let's take this one, and first let's calculate that how much is the current state it is at. So that is what I'm calculating, that what is the current price point it is at, and it could be anything. I don't know that, I'm just looking at it in front of you. So this is what it is at right now. So now let's take the object ID. Let's go over here, let's enter the object ID and see that where did it start from. So this is where it started from. So it could be more, it could be less, I don't know that, I'm checking it in front of you. And this is the price point at which it started from. So you can see that it is actually at a loss right now. So we'll see that that whether it was always at a loss or not, but let's calculate how much loss it is at right now. So this I'm showing you because I want to show you that even if this algo make losses, then how does it protect your investments? This is the entire point of this algo, to protect your investments. So how does it do that? Yeah, divide this by this. This is how much loss you are at, 0.6%, which is negligible. This is essentially how it is protecting your investments, no matter at what price point you would have invested. Now let's check this, that did it always make lossy transactions, or did it make any transaction which was actually profitable at any point of time? So the first thing that we are looking at is essentially the longs, the long transactions. So are there any? I don't see any. Yeah, there is one actually. So let's see how much profit it actually made in this transaction. So at this point of time, if you would have withdrawn your or exited at this point of time, or you would have told the bot that this is at this profit percentage I want to exit, then this is the profit percentage that you could have exited at. It might not be a lot, but I'm just showing you. So it made a transaction which is at 1.43% profit. So let's see. So it was making lossy transactions. Let's see if it has made any more profitable transactions. And I'm just randomly checking it in front of you, and there are a lot of duplicate entries, as you can see, because I'm just scrolling down through those duplicate entries. So those are some things that I'll have to clean up later, but that's fine. We can check that later. There is nothing over here that I can see without extending the video any longer. But still, let's check it over here. Let's take this object ID, let's enter it over here, hit enter. Now let's check if there are any profitable transactions over here. Yeah, there is actually. I mean, it's just right in front. So let's calculate that how much profit you would have been at if you would have withdrawn it at this point of time. So You can check it from here. Let's take this, enter here. So this is your profit divided by the original, multiply by 100. You would have been at 4.62%. So at this, you could have told the system that withdraw my entire investment at 4.6% profits, and this is what would have actually happened. So this is it. I mean, this is pretty much the explainer, and I have explained everything. I have shown you how this algo makes losses and profits, and if you would have withdrawn it at whatever point of time that you would have withdrawn it, then how much your investment would have been protected, how less profits, I mean how less losses you would have made if you would have been using this algo instead of just normally hodling it, and how much profits it can actually make, because I showed you over here in one of the transactions that it was doing yesterday, that it was at 12.48% profit. So anyone who has any doubts on this, I think would have had their doubts cleared on this, that how it works actually, what it is doing, and what it did just yesterday during the pump, because this is what it did yesterday. So I'll end this here, and I'll continue with the explanation of the HODLR algo and go into depth to how it actually works in the next one.